Hello, everyone, and welcome to LunchBytes. Here we are again. So excited to see you all. We're just going to jump right on in, but just before we get started with the intros and everything, if you're new here, just a reminder as we go through our Microsoft Code of Conduct. In today's episode, we want you all to be reminded, be aware of others, be welcoming and respectful, be understanding of differences, being open and patient and friendly, being open to all questions and viewpoints, especially in the chat, and be kind and considerate to others. So for a full code of conduct or to report an issue, please go to aka.ms/events.c or capital C, lowercase c, capital C, so code of conduct. We are so excited to get started. Really quick, also, as we get this going, as today's show is accessible with live captions on Learn TV and YouTube. So you'll be able to select that below, and captions will be available on demand. Also, as we go forward in today's session, if you have any questions throughout today's conversation with our guest speaker or with any of us, please put your questions into the chat. We'll try to get to them as fast as we can, and most likely we'll hold on to them until the very end, so that way our speaker can go through her demo. So yeah, welcome to LunchBytes on Learn TV. I'm Steph Rogers, and I am the UK Developer Engagement Product Marketing Manager over here in the UK on the Marketing and Operations team, and I have my co-hosts.
Hi everyone, I'm Ty Brennan. I'm one of the Cloud Solution Architects at Microsoft UK, and I'm working in the digital and app innovation space. So this covers typically all the things around our serverless technologies, app service, functions, integration as well as our low-code approach with Power Platform. So lovely to meet everyone again.
And Annika, I know her camera's not working today, but if you want to give a quick introduction of you as well.
Hi everyone, my name's Annika. My camera isn't working today. I've had some technical difficulties, but I am the Cloud Solution Area Specialist at Microsoft, so specializing in app innovation, so similar to Ty, but less techy.
Awesome. And what is LunchBytes? So we have a show that we're doing every other week. So you can go back and look through the YouTube channel or Learn TV channel. You can see all the different types of episodes that we've had in the past and the amazing guest speakers that we had. So we will be joined by technical experts from across the UK to answer your top questions about Azure. And if you have any questions for the LunchBytes show and anything that you'd like to be submitted, go ahead and let us know. I've put it in the little box below, which is lunchbytes@microsoft.com. So feel free to reach out to us and let us know if there's anything that you would like covered. And bringing in our amazing guest speaker today, Suparna. Ty, do you want to introduce our speaker?
Yeah, of course. Suparna's going to be talking to us today around the Power Platform governance with the CoE Starter Kit. So Suparna, you're on stream now. Do you want to give a quick intro to yourself and what you do at Microsoft?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Steph. So I'm Suparna Banerjee. I am a Senior Cloud Solution Architect Engineering at Microsoft UK. I work in the same area where Tag is working, the digital and app innovation. And my focus area is Power Platform. I work with the customer to help them adopt the Power Platform and reach the successful maturity. So I help them to set up the governance and the security models. I help them to find out the proper architecture for app development and app modernization. And in today's session, I will be talking about one of the important tools for setting up the governance, which is CoE Starter Kit. So is there anything, Tiger Steph, you want to talk about, or should I start sharing my screen and talking about the CoE Starter Kit?
I was going to say that if anyone who's watching right now has any questions, then please do chuck them in live. We'll get to questions at the end. We've reserved some time. And also, if you're watching this on playback as well, please do put your questions in the chat and we can get back to you on YouTube, Twitch, and Learn TV. So without further ado, Suparna, I think we can kick off and hand over to you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you both. So let me share my screen. Hope you can see my screen now. Okay. So today's topic, Power Platform Governance with CoE Starter Kit. So when I talk about any of my customers regarding the governance, there are a common set of questions that is asked every time. How do I manage the compliance of my Power Platform apps and flows? How do I clean up the unused resources? How can I handle the apps for which the owners has left the organization, which has become orphaned? How do I see the inventory reports? I want to see all the apps and flows and their connections and their owners, everything which is available in my tenant. Is there any single place where I can see all these reports? How can I automate different type of processes? How can I simplify the ALM? So to answer all of this question, there is this COE starter kit. As we know, Power Platform, this is a low-code, no-code solution that allows not only the citizen developers but also the pro developers to connect to 700 plus data sources, and along with that, the Power Platform's own data source, which is a Dataverse. So as you are getting this power, so it is necessary to implement the proper governance and security models so that there is no risk of data leakage or any unwanted use of your data or your apps outside your organization or somewhere. So to start with this governance process, one option for you is to start with scratch where you will be building your own templates. But we are here to give you a templatized approach, which is the center of excellence starter kit. So this is basically a combination of Power apps, that is Canvas apps and model-driven apps, the Power Automate flows, and Power BI dashboard that will help you to start your governance process at scale. So let's have a look. How do I start with this COE starter kit? So there is this link. You need to go here and you will find out the detailed description of what is there in this Center of Excellence starter kit and how do you install this, what are the prerequisites for this. Everything is documented very clearly. In today's session, what I will do, I will give you just an overview. We don't have much time, so I can't go in detail technical things. I will tell you what is included in COE starter kit and what are the processes that you can automate, what are the different reports you can see. And here is this GitHub repository. So this COE Starter Kit, this is an open source code. Our Microsoft's PowerCat team has developed it, and that is in this public repository of GitHub. If you go there, you will be seeing all the releases. Every month, PowerCat team, they release a new version. You can see the change logs, what are the bugs has been fixed, and what are the new changes that is coming with this release. And if you find any issue in your installation, or if you want to suggest some new functionalities, that also you can raise in this COE Starter Kit GitHub repository. Now let's come into the installation prerequisites of the COE Starter Kit. It is recommended that you install the COE Starter Kit in a dedicated environment and with a service account. This service account should have either the global admin, Power Platform admin, or Dynamics 365 admin rights into your tenant. And now comes the licensing. So COE Starter Kit you can install in two types of environments. One is production or sandbox environment, and the second is Dataverse for Teams environment. So if you are installing this into production or sandbox environment, then you will require, the first thing you will require is the Microsoft 365 license like E1, E3, E5. And on top of that, you will require the premium license for Power Apps. That can be Power App or Power User license for all the users who will be accessing the apps which are part of the COE Starter Kit. And for the flows which are running in the background, for them also you will require that Power Flow or Power User license. Now the second case, where you are going to install the COE Starter Kit in Dataverse for Teams environment, there you will require the Office 365 licenses, because COE Starter Kit interacts with the Office 365 connectors like Outlook, SharePoint, and Groups. So that you will require this for both cases. And also this Dataverse for Teams version will require the premium license for the flows, Power Flow or Power User license. But for Power Apps, if you are using the Dataverse for Teams license, Teams environment, you don't need the premium Power Apps license. Whatever Power Apps license comes with your Office 365 license, that will be sufficient to have all the users access this Dataverse for Teams environment COE Starter Kit installation. The one thing that is the limitation, if you are using the Dataverse for Teams environment, you won't be able to get the audit log data, and there is the limitation that limitation of the database size, which is capped to 2 GB for database for Teams environment. Now, Center of Excellence Starter Kit. This is basically a combination of multiple solution files. So the first solution file that you need to install is the code solution file. So that has all the required tables and flows which are performing the main functionalities of this Center of Excellence Starter Kit. And on top of that, you can install the other components like the governance components, which has the functionalities to perform the governance processes, and the audit log components. So this audit log component, it has the flows which will be used to get the audit log data from Microsoft 365 Security and Compliance Center. Like when a Power Apps has been last launched, when it has been created, modified, deleted for Power Apps, Power Automate, all these details, all these audit details that are fetched using the flows which are part of this audit log components. And the third solution is the nurture component. So the purpose of this nurture component is to create some apps through which you can share the best practices. So to install all these three, governance, audit log, and nurture component, first you have to install the code component, then only you can install these three components. And other than this, there are independent solutions also in the Center of Excellence Starter Kit. You may not install the core component or the other three components. You can install this independently. The first is the innovation backlog components. Through this, you can submit the ideas for apps and flows that you want to build for your organization. We have this ALM accelerator component that simplifies the ALM process by creating the pipelines in the backend and a front-end app through which you can put your code into the source control like GitHub or this Azure DevOps. And this theming component, which is basically providing you the option for creating some branding that can be used as a template for different apps in your organization. Now let's have a look into the different functionalities of the CoE Starter Kit. So the first thing that we need to know, what are the different components in my tenant? What are the apps and flows, and what are the details of that? So for that, we have this sync template flows, and also we have this audit log component, which is fetching the data from this audit log. So let's have a quick look what this does. So here I am currently into my Center of Excellence Starter Kit code components. And here, as you can see, it has lots of apps and flows and tables. And if we look into the tables, we can say that we have this environment table, which will store the environment data. We have this flow table, we have this Power Apps app table, and many other tables. So these tables are basically storing all the information about the Power Platform in my entire tenant. Now, how this information is collected? So that is done through the flows which are part of this code component. So this admin sync template v3, this is the main flow that runs in a daily basis, collects the detail about the environments and puts it into this environment table. Once this data is filled up in the environment table, if there is any new row added or any modification made into the environment table, that triggers the other flows, these apps, connectors, custom connector, and all these flows, and they perform the same operation like this sync template v3 main flow, but only for the respective things. Like this flow, this apps flow, it will be gathering the information about the apps and will be storing in this Power Apps app table. This cloud flows will be stored by this admin sync template v3 flow, and it will be storing in this flow table. So by this way, we are collecting the data and putting it within the CoE Starter Kit tables. Now, if we want to see the result of this inventory collection, how we can do that? Okay, so before that, let me talk about this audit log component. As I already mentioned, it is collecting the data from this audit log, the Microsoft 365 Compliance Center, and it is using the flows which are part of this audit log components, but the table where it is storing the data, that is part of the core components. So once all this data is filled up in the relevant tables in the code component, then comes the part of analyzing all this data. So to do that, what we need to do is we have different options. The first option is this Power Platform admin view. This is a model driven app which is part of code components. And this app gives you a quick overview of all resources in your tenant. And then we have this Power BI dashboard. With currently there are two dashboards which will give you the overall summary and the adoption and compliance details in your tenant. So let's have a look into all of this. So this is my Power Platform admin view model driven app. Here you can see, we can see the dashboard where I can see this is the overview dashboard. If I want to see the details of the environments, then I can click on this environment and here are all the details I can see from our environments. Similarly, I can see the details about my apps, flows, connectors while clicking on this from the left hand navigation. Now, if I want more detail, then we need to go to this Power BI dashboard. So this is the Power BI dashboard. Here we can see different reports. See all these reports we can view here. Like if we want to see this overview of the Power Apps, it will be showing me the top 20 environments by app count, total app maker. And if I want to see the details of all the apps in my environment, then I need to come to this report, this apps report. It is showing me the app creation trend and also the top environment by percent of apps. And in this Power BI report we can add the filter to see more details, and similarly we can see the details of the cloud flows. And then we have more if we want to see more details, like if we want to see the app connections, what connections are mostly used in all my apps, and if I want to see which apps has used these connections, then we need to come into this app connection report. Like if I want to see which apps is using this Azure Ready connection, I just select it, it will be showing me, yes, this app is showing using this app connection. We can see the app usage that is coming from my audit logs. We can see the app share details, and if I want to do the app license assessment, if I want to see which of my apps are using the premium connector, so I understand the makers and the users of those app will require the premium license, I can see the data from here. Here is the option. If I am selecting premium, it is showing me these are the apps that are using the premium connectors. So this is the Power BI dashboard that is giving me the overall report. Now, if I want to see more detail of compliance and governance, then we have another Power BI report, which is this compliance and governance report. It is giving me the deeper insights. Like if I want to see what are the orphan apps, like this apps with no owners. Currently, I don't, in my tenant, I don't have any app with no owner. It is not showing me anything. If it had something, I can drill through this and see the details. I can see which are the apps which are not in the solutions. So it is showing me that I have 134 apps, and if I just drill through it, I can see which are the apps which are not part of the solution. So this will be beneficial for us if I am planning to implement ALM, like I want to move my apps and flows to another environment, then it is a better option to add the apps and flows into the solutions. So we can view it from this report. Yes, these apps and flows are not into the solution, and we can plan about adding them into the solution. And another report that I can see here is the adoption insights. How many apps has been launched in this month? How many apps launched in the past 90 days? And the very important part is knowing about your default environment, because this default environment is the place where all the users in your organization has the maker access and they can create lots of apps. So if I want to see what is there in my default environment, I can see it from this report. So this is in a nutshell how we can use this Power BI dashboards to gather the insights about the Power Platform in my tenant. Now let's come into the automation of different processes. The environment management. This is an important aspect of your governance. So, we are not recommending any organization to keep the environment creation process open to all users in your organization. From your Power Platform Admin Center, you will be restricting this so that only the admins like the Power Platform admin or the global admin or the Dynamics 365 admin, they will be able to create the environment, not any licensed user. But there might be some scenarios when the users they want to request for new environment. So there are two apps in the CoE Starter Kit. First is this Maker Environment Request app, and second is this Admin Environment Request app. Through this, we can automate this environment creation process. So let's have a look. So this is my Maker environment request app. Through this app, I can create a new request. I can select this which connectors I want to use in my environment. I can select the users, and then it will be asking me for the name that I want, the purpose, and then whether I want to create a data-first database with this. And here comes the important part, automatically delete environment after use. If we want a temporary environment and we are putting the values, maybe I want this environment just for 60 days, I'll be selecting 60 days here. And once this environment request is approved by the admin and the environment is created, then after 60 days, this environment will be automatically cleaned up. So this is one thing that you can do from this app. The another thing which is possible from this environment request app, this app is targeted for the makers. They can submit a DLP change request. So here I am selecting this action requested is to apply a policy to an environment, and which policy and which environment I can select from here, and I can submit the request. So once the new environment request or a DLP policy change request is submitted by the maker, then comes the other app, which is the admin environment creation request. So this app is for the admins only. So here you can see these are all the requests that I have received as an admin. And if I open one of this request, then I can see the details of it, and I have the option for approve or reject. And I can even tag an environment to some business area. So this suppose your case is you want a specific environment to tag to the specific cost center, then you can select, so you can configure this different business areas, and admins can tag that environment to a specific business area, so we know that this environment is used for this business area only. And also with this app, we can approve the DLP change request. Currently, I don't have any DLP change request, but if I had any, then it would be showing up here and I can approve it from here. Now, regarding the next part of this environment management, another important aspect is environment capacity management. So, in Power Platform, the total capacity is pooled in the tenant label. If your tenant have bought licenses or bought additional capacity, maybe you have 100 GB of capacity, that is pooled in the tenant label, and there is at this moment no option that we can set up a quota limit for each environment. So these environment capacity management process in the CoE Starter Kit, it keeps a soft limit. It will not be a hard limit, but it will keep a soft limit. So let me show you how this works. We need to come to this Power Platform Admin View app again, and I am going into the detail of one environment. And here you can see that we have this approved capacity. So if I want this approved capacity for this environment, this will be 10 GB, not more than 10 GB. I can set up the soft limit. It will not do anything if it is going beyond the soft limit. It will not restrict anything. The only thing it will do, there is a flow running in the background which is checking with this approved capacity limit and the actual consumption. If the actual consumption is reaching 80% of the approved capacity limit, it will be sending a mail to the owners of this environment and the environment admins, so that they can take the necessary actions, either buying new capacity or cleaning up something to free up the capacity. So this is a better approach instead of keeping the environment consumption growing up, so without any control over it. Another part of this environment management is environment management for the dataverse for teams. So as we know, whenever any member or owner of a team is creating a Power Up app or a flow, it is automatically creating a dataverse for teams environment. So there is currently no proactive approach for restricting this, other than totally blocking the Power Apps and Power Automate and PVA into your teams. So we don't want to block it, rather we are suggesting you a reactive approach. So what happens, there is a flow which is part of the governance components that runs in the background, and it checks if there is a new Dataverse for Teams environment has been created. If it is created, then it will be sending a this adaptive card as a chat to the creator of that Dataverse for Teams environment, and it will be asking for the business justification. Once the business justification is provided and it is approved by the admin, then only that Dataverse for Teams environment will remain there. If it is rejected or not provided, then that environment will be deleted. So there is a weekly cleanup happens where there is these two criteria: no business justification or the justification rejected. And also, if there is an environment where no apps or flows has been created after 90 days, that is also taken care by this flow and it is deleted. Now the next part of Power Platform governance is the DLP policies. As we know that DLP policies, the data loss prevention policies, this is very important to create the guardrails so that the makers, they are not communicating with any data sources which your organization don't want them to do. So these DLP policies we can create and edit from the Power Platform Admin Center, but whenever we are creating a DLP policy and applying it into some environment, or if we are modifying any DLP policy, we can't see what is the impact of the existing apps for the DLP policies, whether they will stop working or not. So to resolve this issue, we have this DLP editor app. So if I open this app, so this is a Canvas app which is a part of the core components, and here you see that it is showing me the DLP policies that is there in my environment. And let me try to modify this. So it will show me all the biz connectors which are in business and non-business group. Let me try to move this approval connector into this non-business group. And I want to add it to all the environments. The next thing it will be doing the impact analysis and show me the report. So here you can see all these apps, those will get impacted if I am modifying this DLP policy. And here I have the option for sending email to the owner of this app, this admin access this app, so that we let them know that I'm going to modify this DLP policies. And I can export this impacted apps and flows to CSV, so I can do the analysis later on. So this is a quite helpful app. Now, let's talk about setting up the apps and flow permissions by the administrators. So in Power Platform, for both the case of apps and flows, even if I am an admin, I won't be able to see the apps or flows which are not shared with me. So I won't be able to set the permissions for those apps and flows. So for that reason, we have this set app permission and set flow permission. There are two separate apps which both are part of this core components. So here is this set app permission app. it is showing me all my environments and all my apps. And if I want to add permission to this app, I can just select some user, and I can select the user role, and once I save it, the user will have the access into this app. And it lists the orphan apps also for all the apps where the previous owner has left the organization and there is no co-owner. It will be showing me all that apps, and I can add new owners using this set app permissions app. The similar app is there for the flow set flow permissions also. Now, if I want that whenever a new maker is added to any of my environment, I want to send them some instruction. And I also want them to be a part of a Microsoft 365 group where I can send the mail, or maybe we can add them to a team where I can send all the communications. So for that, there is a flow running in the background, which is part of core components that sends an email to makers who create an app flow or connector for the first time. So there is a predefined template that comes with the CoE Starter Kit installation, but you have the option for modifying this template. So based on your own requirement, you may add your own branding, logo, your own instructions. You can all add in that template. And this flow will also add the makers to an Office 365 security group. Now, is a very important part is app compliance management. Let's have a look into this compliance process. Whenever a new app is created, there is a flow which runs in the background, which iterates through all the resources. This runs daily and iterates to all the resources and check if they are compliant. Now, how do we define the compliance? So that is defined through some parameters, which are the environment variable and which you can modify. So if I come into our official documentation, and if I come into the setup compliance process, here are all the environment variables. You will find that number compliance apps, number of days since published 60, number of groups shared 1, number of launches last 30 days. So these are the default values provided here, and you have the option for changing the values of all these environment variables. I will tell you later in a later time how you can change the values of this criteria. So based on this criteria, this app is going through this flow is running, and it is checking if the app is not compliant. It is emailing to the app owner. Now, once the app owner receives that mail, there is an app for the app owners that is called the Developer Compliance Center. This app is part of the governance component. They will be coming here and they can see this all these apps, this admin, and these are all my apps, and they can open one of this. So this is not for this Developer Compliance Center is not only for the apps. You can see that we have this model driven apps, Canvas app, SharePoint Forms apps. We can view all the apps and all their details here. So let me open one of this Canvas app, and here I need to provide the business justification. So I am providing this and then this business impact and data classification, all these details I am providing it here. From this app itself, I can assign new owner, republish or launch this app, and I am submitting this. So once this business justification is submitted by the app owner, then the admins, they can perform some operations using the same Power Platform Admin View app. So what they can do, we have this Power Apps tab, and let me search for this demo app, which I have just submitted. Yeah, so for this app, here is a business process flow running, and it is with the admins can come here, and if the maker provided business justification yes, they can go to the next stage, and they can change the business impact also. They can perform the risk assessment here, and then they are going to the next stage and highlight app in the app catalog. So if they want to add this app into the app catalog, then they can do it from here. And this featured it app catalog, they are making it yes. And the app category, we can provide the app category here. And once I am finishing this, then this app is means this is approved by the admins, and this app will remain in the environment. If this is rejected or the justification is not provided, in that case this app will be deleted, and because it is non-compliant. Now this app catalog, if I come into my core components again and I am going here, I can see that this app catalog is available. And so all the apps which are part of which has been added into this app catalog, I can view those from here. And if I want to exclude some environment from this compliance process, suppose I don't want this compliance process to run for a specific environment, from this Power Platform admin view, going into the environment, I can make this excuse from compliance flow. So this flow will not run against this environment, this default environment, and it will not check for the apps here. And here is the app catalog. So this, the purpose of this app catalog is, as we know that we can only see the apps which are shared with me, but if I, before going to create an app, if I want to see if the similar app is already there or not, I can come into this app catalog and check. And so if this app is there, and then I means that this is for and if I want to request access into this app, or if I want to leave a review, I can contact maker. All this is possible through this app catalog. Okay, yeah. So we have talked about this flow and the app. And the next part is inactive app and flow management. So we have adopted Power Platform and we are creating apps and flows. At some point of time, we may find that there are lots of apps and flows are residing in my environment which are not used at all, and I want to clean them up. So for that purpose, there is a flow running in the background, which is part of the governance component, that is checking if there is any inactivity. So this inactivity criteria, that is also part of an environment variable. So this is mentioned in our documentation. And here we have this setup in inactivity notifications, and here we can see this the environment variable that takes care of this. Yeah, archival pass time interval. So if we can modify this, as this is an environment variable. So if we are finding that this app is inactive, then this approval mail is sent to the owners asking for whether they want to approve the deletion of this app. If they approve it, then this app will be deleted. And there is the option for, instead of deleting, there is the option for quarantining the app also. Now, the next thing is this offhand app and flow management. So it is a very common scenario that someone has created an app, but forgot to add any other owner to that app or flow and left the organization. So those apps and flows remain offhand. No one can perform anything for those apps and flows. So we have this flow in the governance components which runs on a daily basis, collect the orphan objects and associate them with the manager of the former owner. So the manager will be receiving a adaptive card like this, and it will be showing the app or flow name, who was the employee, the owner, and then they will have the option for taking the ownership, deleting them all, or assigning them all. So this is a process to make sure that there is no apps or flows remaining in our environment where no one can perform any operations. So this is also a very helpful and important business process automation as a part of the CoE Starter Kit. So whatever so far we have talked are mostly important for the administrators. Now let's think about the users. I am going to create an app, but before creating an app, I want to understand what kind of licenses required for me, or if the administrators want to send some guidance to the makers before creation of the app. That can be done through this Maker Assessment Canvas app, which is part of the Nurture components. So this Maker Assessment, we have two versions. One is the admin app. Through this admin app, we are creating the questions. So maybe I am selecting this category, this support category. So how many steps in your workflow, and I am providing the answers. So we have some a template. Whenever you are installing the CoE Starter Kit, you will be seeing all these templates. You may delete some of the questions, or you can add new questions and answers. Now for the makers, they will be coming here, and then they will be asked all these questions. So you can select the solution type, and then your use case. You can select the audience, how often the app will be used, the complexity. So this not all are mandatory steps, but you have the option for answering all these questions that your admin has provided. And once you submit this, it will be giving you some analysis report based on the answers that you have provided. So you will be knowing that this is my case, and you are aware that you need, like this, in this case it is showing me that you need premium licenses. So I may request for the premium licenses before I'm going to create the app. The next part is this innovation backlog component. This is an independent component, not related with this CoE Starter Kit core components. So the purpose of this is, if you want to implement ideation in your organization, where you want all of your employees should take part into this ideation event. They will be submitting the ideas, they will provide different details, and based on that you want to calculate the return on investment, so that you can decide which ideas you will be taking further. So for that we have this innovation backlog app. Okay. Yeah, so this innovation backlog app, through this app you can add a new idea, and it will be asking you different questions. Let me show you one of the existing idea that I had submitted earlier. So this is, I want to automate the creation of my SharePoint sites, and I am providing the description, the affected people, tools, and this return of investment. It can measure the return of investment, where I am answering these questions: number of people performing the task, average people performing, average wage of people performing, time spent per person. If I answer all this question, then it will calculate the return on investment for me. So if I come back here, I can see estimated return on investment. It is showing me in the pound value, and also the hour saving per month. And I can vote for the ideas also. That option is here. Now if I want to manage the trainings, I can, suppose I want to conduct some trainings, and I want to create the trainings. Admins will be creating the trainings, and the users will be registering for that training. For that, we have, as a part of this nurture component, we have this training in a day management. So we have two canvas apps. One is this this one, this canvas app, through which we can create a new training event. Like I have created this flow in a day training event, and we have another canvas app through which I can register for this event. It will be showing me the list of trainings available, and I can register for any event from here. And finally, we have this theming component. So this theming, using this theming component, we can create themes. We can create the templates which will have these themes, which will have this branding, and your makers can download those themes and implement in their own apps based on that template. And here comes another important thing, this ALM accelerator. So if I want to build the enterprise grade apps, so we are not going to do it directly in the production. Rather, it is recommended we will go through the proper application lifecycle management, like we'll build it in my development environment, then we'll be going through the validation, test, and the production environment. So we can use any source control system like Azure DevOps or GitHub for storing my Power Platform solutions there, and we can create the pipelines for Azure DevOps or workflows for GitHub, which will be doing this automated deployment into the higher environments. So this ALM accelerator, this simplifies all this process. You need not manually create the pipelines or anything. There are two versions. This is ALM Accelerator for Power Platform. This is in the preview mode. This uses the Azure DevOps. And we have the another version which is using the GitHub. This is ALM Accelerator for Makers. So let's have a look into this ALM Accelerator for Power Platform app. So what it does, for to install this ALM accelerator for Power Platform, we have to import the ALM accelerator for Power Platform solution, and we have to create this repo. This we have to create a Azure DevOps organization, and within it we have to create a project and the repository. And then we need to create the pipelines. So we can, there is the CoE CLI option available. Running that, it will automatically creating the pipelines for you, or you can install it manually also. Now once my Azure DevOps part is set, then there is this app, this ALM Accelerator Admin Model Driven app. Using this, I can create a deployment profile. So in this deployment profile, I am providing the name of the Azure DevOps organization repository, and I'm providing the different environments, validation environment, of which I will provide the environment of the organization URL for that. So I am creating these profiles, and after that, I am creating the user settings for that. So I have created one for maker and one for as advanced maker. Like the makers can won't be able to deploy into the higher environment. They will only be able to put the code into the source control. And after creating this user settings, I need to share it with the users whom we want to be part of this application lifecycle management. And after this, this is the app. This is for the makers. Once they open this app, and they can select an environment, and here it will be showing the solutions which they own. If it current, I can see only my solutions, or I can see the all the solutions also. And when they click this commit button, it will be putting their code, it will be committing their code into the Azure DevOps. And after the code is committed into the Azure DevOps, if I want to deploy it into the higher environment, I have the option for selecting a target environment. And once I hit this deploy, it will be automatically deploying it into my target environment. So this makes the application lifecycle management process easier for both the admins and for the makers. They need not know what is happening in the background. The tool is there in front of them. They just need to do a few clicks, and everything will happen automatically. Okay, so now so far we have talked about what is there in the CoE Starter Kit. If how do we manage the CoE Starter Kit? So for that, we have this admin command center app. So let's have a look into this. In this admin command center app, you can see there in the left hand navigation, we have lots of icons. This is, so currently the icon the one that I opened is the emails. So the CoE Starter Kit sends different emails for different purposes, like this capacity alerts that I was talking about, this compliance detail request, and we have so compliance detail request for apps, chatbots, custom connectors, flows, and then if there is any error in the same flows, welcome email. So for all these mails, if I want to modify the text and the subject of this mail, I can do it from here. I have the option for just putting some HTML value here, and this the body and subject will be modified. If I want to update my environment variables, I can do it by going to the settings. It will be showing me all the environment variables, and I can update the values from here. And the first icon in the left-hand navigation, it will be showing me all the apps which are part of this CoE starter kit, and so that I can directly launch them by doing a single click. I can see the service health. If there is any error in any of my flows, I can view it from here. And it will be showing me a list of the CoE starter kit flows, and it will giving me the details if it has been accidentally edited and has an unmanaged layer has been created. I can get the data of it, so that if I want to upgrade my CoE version, so every month PowerCat team is releasing the CoE starter kit new version, and it is recommended that we will be updating this starter kit new version by downloading the solution and importing into your local system. So yeah, so this you can see if there is any unmanaged layer, you will be able to see it from here. So yes, this is also a very helpful and important app if you are using the CoE starter kit. So now let me just quickly summarize what we can do with the CoE Starter Kit. We can manage environments request and auto provision the environments. We can set up the environment capacity limit. We can manage orphaned objects and this compliance. Or we can inactivity notification flows. We can manage data bus for Teams environment. We can set permission for apps and flows. We can set a process to share innovation ideas, manage training. So that's all from my side. So I will open it up for you to, if you have any questions now.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot, Sapana. There is one question that we'd like to get into, and it's around how can we customize the CoE Starter Kit based on our own requirements?
Okay, so first let me stop sharing. Am I still sharing?
Nope, it's all good
Or
now.
it has been stopped? Okay, so yeah, so CoE Starter Kit, as the name suggests, it is the starter kit. It is not the final kit. We are giving you some templates, but it's a very good question because the organizations might have their own requirements for customization of what we are getting. So for that, what you need to do, so we have the guidance in our official documentation. What you need to do, you need to get the apps and flows which you want to modify, get a copy of those apps and flows and add those into an unmanaged solution. Don't add directly those into the unmanaged solution, so there will be an unmanaged layer created and you won't be able to upgrade those. Add those into an unmanaged solution, so you are getting the template, you are getting the base logic, apply your own logic, modify those, and then you can use those solutions. So this is the means in a short we can say you that in this way you can customize the CoE starter kit.
Okay, and then one quick question from Amanda was, what is the standard practice to share the CoE Starter Kit to new admins in the organization?
Okay, so if for CoE Starter Kit, if you want to share it with the new admins in the organization, so when you are setting up the core components, there are some this Power Platform security roles gets created that comes with this CoE Starter Kit. And let me share my screen again. If we go to this setup inventory components, we can see that some security roles gets created. One of the security role is this Power Platform admin. So whoever is part of that Power Platform admin role, they will be able to perform the all the admin components of this CoE Starter Kit. And so the standard practice is you add the new admins into that Power Platform admin role, which is part of this. So just let me find it out and I will share it so it will be easier for you to understand. Now just let me open it. Okay, and I'm going to share my screen again. Okay.
Yep, your screen is shared.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so here are the security roles: Power Platform admin security role, maker, user, and custom in entity user role. So for the admins, you will be adding them to the security role. For the makers, you will be adding them to this maker security role, so that you need not share the apps individually with these segments to the users. You just shared your apps with these security roles.
Great. Thanks, Bana. So brilliant presentation, loads of detail in the CoE Starter Kit. And so if anyone has any questions as well, please do reach out to us at lunchbytes@microsoft.com, and we can help answer some of those questions. So once again, thank you so much, Sapana, for a great presentation.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, so I quickly wanted to touch on developer news, and we'll really rush through this. We've got a few minutes left. And so the first things that I wanted to talk about was a few general available announcements. So the first one is the AKS node pool user start/stop feature. So what this is it's a feature that allows you to completely stop specific user node pools and pick up later where you left off with a switch of a button. So it saves time and cost. So previously you had to either scale a user node pool and all its workloads down to 0 in order to save costs, or keep it running with a low footprint to avoid redeployment. And so this kind of adds a lot to the operations time, or it wastes compute resources as well. So the start-stop feature really keeps the user node pool configurations in place, like the previous node count, and it allows you to pick up where you left off without reconfiguring the node pools. So that's a good little addition that helps out with a few developers there. And the other thing I wanted to touch on is the general availability of Azure App Service Environment v3 support for custom domain suffix. So custom domain suffix is an internal load balancer app service environment feature that allows you to use your own domain suffix to access the apps in your app service environment. So an app service environment is an app service feature that provides a fully isolated and dedicated environment for running app service apps securely at a high scale. And so the DNS settings for your app service environment's default domain suffix don't restrict your apps to only being accessible by those names. So typically it might be azureappservice.net. Well, now you can bring your custom domain suffix into that. So if you've got an app within your ASE and you'd be, for example, Contoso internal apps, then you can bring that custom domain suffix with you. On the GitHub side of things, there's a couple of updates as well. And one of them is now the wiki now support the maths and mermaid diagrams. So the first diagram there I've got is obviously like an equation there. And so now you can write this in Markdown and bring it into your wikis. And same things with the diagrams as well. You can bring those mermaid diagrams into your wikis. So hopefully if those mathematicians involved doing software development using things like MATLAB and involving kind of the LaTeX kind of structural formulas, then this is something that you can now bring into your wikis. And then also GitHub Actions is now, the self-hosted runners now support Apple M1 hardware. So the Actions runner support for Apple Silicon is now here. So the M1 chips is now generally available. And this provides teams with the capability to run self-hosted macOS workflows in a macOS ARM64 runtime. So now they support M1 or M2 hardware. There's a couple of things. So based on initial testing, there are currently 2 issues to be aware of. So the macOS ARM64 does not support Node 12. So if your runner automatically will use like Node 16 to execute any JavaScript action written for Node 12, and all actions provided by GitHub are compatible with the runner, except for a known issue with setup Python. So the fix for that can be tracked in our docs as well. So that's everything that I wanted to touch on the developer news. And Steph, I'll hand over to you. Steph, you're on mute.
Of course. I was just finishing up actually eating my LunchBytes, so I didn't want anyone to hear that. So we're really excited to talk about the upcoming Azure Adventure Days and the DevOps Open Hack that we have coming up. So for those of you who are not familiar with the Azure Adventure Days, they're quite new in terms of like what we're bringing to an in-person event. It is placed in the year 2050, and Cyber City is famous for its gaming scene. But now we have extraterrestrials who have come and stolen resources from the humans, and they're refusing to give them back. So this competition, this gamified experience is going to be really fun. And it's going to be bringing in people from all over the industry, from software engineers, software architects, our cloud architects as well. And we'll be walking you through like step-by-step instructions on how to solve all these puzzles, which is really fun and exciting. So we'll also have subject matter experts on site to help you along the way. We also have DevOps coming up as well right afterwards. So that'll be Tuesday, the 13th through the 15th. All these will be in person in London at the Reactor, and we're excited. If you have questions on how to register, definitely reach out to one of your account managers here at Microsoft. And then as we close, we have a few meetups coming up from some of our favorite groups. So we have the Yorkshire Azure Meetup, Midlands Azure Meetup, Azure Adventure Days, of course, and then DevOps. So really excited to see you all there, hopefully in person as we can, and reach out to us if you'd like to get registered. All right. Thank you, team.
Great, thanks, Steph. So one little thing I wanted to touch on. In 2 weeks' time, we've got our next session. We've got John Metzger talking to us around cloud-native load testing. So I'm really looking forward to that one. Please join us in 2 weeks. And if not, please join us at one of those open hacks or adventure days in person. We'd love to meet you and see you there. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.